So in previous class already we had a discussion about what is the use of a single page application and how we are going to install a React application, everything we install now. So I'm going to explain one more time how to create the application. Just you can observe here. So just you can create one folder first. Initially you can create one folder. That folder you can add your workspace. After adding that one, you can just take the terminal and you can enter here npx create hyphen react hyphen app and your application name, for example my app or sample app, like that you can apply. So whenever if you are entering this command, automatically you will get some folder structure. So like my app is our application name. Inside this one you will get the different folders. So first you will get node underscore modules. You will get this folder first, and we have another folder that is public and src, and we have here package.json, package log.json, and git ignore. Like that you will get here different folders along with files. So if you are observing, so this is our previous project like React 6 p.m. and we have here node underscore modules and public and src, like that we are getting here different folders. So first I want to run this file, then I'm going to do the changes here. So take a terminal. Here we have the option called new terminal. Terminal is nothing but command prompt. So you can just select here for your React 6 p.m. So now we are into currently React 6 p.m. Under this we have here our application name called my app. Just you can enter cd space my app. Cd is nothing but change directory. So now we are entering to our application. We have to start our server. So how we are going to start? npm start. If I'm entering npm start, automatically your React scripts should be start here. See here, React script should be started here. So it will directly move to the browser screen and it will shows the, so like a port also localhost colon 3000. See here, directly you are getting here localhost colon 3000. Here localhost is nothing but your server name. So 3000 is nothing but port number. So generally, so we have different ports for different applications. So 3000 for React, 4200 that is for Angular, 4000 that is for Node, 8080 that is for PHP. Like different ports you are getting. Either you can work with the port number or either you can work with the IP address also. If you are observing, see here we are running like a localhost 3000 now. Instead of doing this one, you can work with here 192.168.1.10. You can apply like this also. So but this IP address, network address is the differentiate one system to another system. So that is the reason we are going to prefer here. So localhost 3000. Understood now? So if you are observing here, we are getting some React logo and it is showing edit src. Under src app.js and save one to reload. So now I'm going to move to the src folder. In src we have app.js. So this is our app.js. In app.js you can do any edition also. Present we have here header now. So this header tag I'm going to remove. Just I'm going to remove header and I'm going to write some h1. So in the h1 I'm going to write here welcome to React.js. I'm going to write some text here. Save this one. If you are save this one, automatically you will get the compilation. So just you can do the control S. Automatically you will get the compilation. Once the compilation is done, so just to go to the browser screen without refresh also directly you will get the output. So what is the output you are getting here? Welcome to React.js we are getting. So that means if I am writing here, for example, one button, sorry, I'm going to take here one button. The button text is, for example, read more. Save this one. Again, it is compiling. If you are doing any changes also, so every time it should be compiled. Once the compilation is done, you can just go to the browser screen. We are getting here the output here. So if you are observing, we are taking some H1 as well as button. So see here, we are getting H1 as well as button here. So what is the main advantage of React.js in the sense? So React.js supports here JSX. What is meant by JSX? JavaScript XML. JSX stands for JavaScript XML, or we can also call it as a JavaScript extension also we can call it as. So what is meant by JSX in the sense? Within the JS file, within the .js, you can write any HTML tags also, it will directly supports. For example, I have sample.js. This is regular JavaScript. In the regular JavaScript, if I'm writing h1 directly, if I'm writing h1, you will get output or you will get error. Actually, you are not getting any output. Why? Because that is h1 is a html tag. You are unable to write like this. If you want to write any html tag, you can write the document at right and make it as a string format. You will get the output. This is regular javascript. But in the React JS, it is supports like a JSX, JavaScript XML. Nothing but in the .js file, directly you can write any HTML code also, it will supports. If you are observing in our programming, see here what is the file extension we have? App.js, JS only now. So if you are observing, this is regular JavaScript code. In the JavaScript code, if you are observing, directly we are writing HTML code now. This is called JSX. The main advantage of React JS is it will support JSX. JSX is nothing but JavaScript XML. Within the .js file, you can write any HTML code also, it will support. In Angular, we don't have this feature. In Angular, you have to write separate HTML code, separate styling part, separate logic you have to write, separate database connectivity you have to write. Each and everything you have to maintain in Angular separately, but in the React, not like that. So it is support like a JSX. In the .js file, you can write any HTML tag also, it will support. So JSX is almost similar to HTML 99%. 1% is different, like attributes. So while taking like a CSS, you are writing class equal to now, but in the JSX, we have to write class name. If you are observing, see here, so regularly we are using class equal to now, but here what happened? Class name equal to. So that means only some of the attributes are different, rest of the things, everything should be same only. I will explain later about this one, just you can observe here. So almost JSX is similar to 99% of the HTML, only 1%, that two attributes only. Okay. So this is the main advantage of JavaScript. Sorry. This is the main advantage of React JS. So if you are considering any programming language also, we have the advantages as well as disadvantages also. So React JS, if you are taking, so here the main advantage is JSX now. So here the disadvantages also we have. The disadvantage is poor documentation. That means if you are facing any error, so you will get some of the cases solutions, and so maximum cases you are not getting any solution in the Google. So poor documentation in the sense for debugging, it is very difficult. So for learning and for writing the programming, it is easy. But if you are facing any error, so that error maybe 90% you will get the solutions. 10% you are unable to get the solutions in the Google. We have to take care of while writing the programming only. That is the advantages and the disadvantages whenever if you are taking the React programming. So next we will move to the folder structure. Folder structure. If we are creating any application also, we are getting different folders now. What is the first folder? Node underscore modules. If you are observing, so we have here first folder called node underscore modules. So this node underscore modules contains inbuilt packages, inbuilt libraries we have. If you are observing, just I'm going to expand. If I'm expanding, see here, n number of modules we are getting here, n number of packages we are getting. In future also, if you are installing Bootstrap for our project purpose, if you are installing Bootstrap, that Bootstrap also it will stored here only. In future, I'm going to use jQuery. That jQuery also it will be stored here only. That means Node underscore modules contains inbuilt packages. In future, if you are installing any third-party package also, that third-party package it will be stored here only. You can observe here n number of packages we are getting here. So whenever if you are installing your React application, so initially you will get the node underscore modules. This node underscore modules contains n number of inbuilt packages, as well as in future, if you are installing any third party packages also, these third party packages also we are going to save in the node underscore modules. Example, in future I'm going to use the Bootstrap. In future I'm going to work with the jQuery also. That both the things I'm going to maintain inside the node underscore modules only. Understood now? So what is the use of node underscore modules? Node underscore modules contains inbuilt packages. In future, if you are installing any third party packages also, it will be stored into the node underscore modules only. No need to touch this one. So don't delete any packages. Why? Because in future we are going to use that packages. So don't need to touch that one, just leave as it is, not just for modules folder. So then next we have here public folder. So this public folder contains different files like images. So we have here like a logo file, and we have here. So just you can observe here. If you are expand public, we have here logo. So favicon icon. Favicon icon in the sense, if you are observing here, we are getting some logo. Now this is called favicon icon. So favicon icon is there, and regular logo we have, and manifest file we have. So actually, we are not using all these things. So we are using only one useful file, that is index.html. So public folder contains only one useful file, that is index.js. If you are opening, sorry, index.html now. If you are opening this index.html also, we have only one thing inside the body, that is div tag. That div also contains some ID called root. Only we have this code only in the index.html. If you want to check also, just you can open here index.html, just to scroll down. In the body, what we have? Only we have one div. That div contains some ID called root. Okay, so what is the index.html contains? Only one div. That div contains one ID called root. Finally, you are going to execute index.html file only. So how we are going to execute, I will show you later. Just you can observe. So node underscore modules contains inbuilt packages, as well as in future, if you are installing any third-party package, you are going to get it there. And public folder contains only one useful file, that is index.html. The index.html contains only one thing, that is the div ID called root. Then next we have here src. SRC is nothing but source. So we are going to create all the project related files here only. So this is simply, we can say, it contains entire your project code. That means in future, if you are creating any pages also, you can create inside the SRC folder only. So SRC, simply we can say, it is a source folder. It is completely, we can say, your project folder. So after that, we have here, after src, we have here directly package.json. Forget about this package log, there is nothing in the log. So we are concentrate on only the package.json. So this package.json contains your application information, application name, application version, and what is the React version, what is the React DOM version. So whenever if you are running your project, what you implemented, npm start now. Whenever if you are entering npm start, what happened, you can observe here, React script should be started. In future, if you want to build your project also, we have to work with different commands also, that all the commands we are getting from the package.json only. So what is the package of package.json? Package.json contains entire your application information. This will contain entire your application information, like what is your application name, which version you are using, React version, React DOM version, and the React scripts also. Everything it will displays. This is common structure for each and every React application. Understood now? So if you are creating any React application also, first you will get node underscore modules. It will contains inbuilt packages. In future, if you are installing any package also, you are going to store in that folder only. After that, we have here public. This public folder contains favicon icon, logo, and manifest file. A number of things are there, but mainly we are concentrate on here index.html only. That index.html contains only one div. That div contains root ID, and src nothing but source. And so you are going to create entire your project code in the src only. And finally, we have here package.json. This package.json contains entire your application information, like which version of the React you are using, React DOM version, what is your application name, entire information we are getting in the package.json. This is the default structure you are going to use in each and every project. Understood now? So if I have any .js file, if I want to run .js file directly, it won't support now. So always we are going to execute in the browser .html files only. You are unable to run .js file directly. Why? Because each and every browser contains some engines. Each and every browser contains engines. So engine is, browser is nothing but software only now. So that software also, so they are going to develop by using some programming only. If I'm using the Chrome browser, if I'm running any project in the Chrome browser, so by default we have the engine called V8. This V8 engine will take care of your entire HTML files. If I'm running any HTML file, directly it is moved to the browser now. So why it is moved to the browser? So browser contains default engines. So that engine only it will be so run your HTML file. If I'm using Chrome browser, the engine called V8. If I'm using like a MOZ, Mozilla Firefox, so we have the engine called Spider Monkey. Spider Monkey. The engine name called Spider Monkey. If I'm using here, so WebKit, Safari browser. For Safari browser, what is the engine we have? WebKit is the engine. For Opera, we have here Blink. So if I'm using like IER Edge, so for Edge we have the engine called Chakra. So like that we have here a number of engines for each and every browser. So based on that browser engines only, our files are executed. So for Chrome browser, we have the engine called V8. So for Mozilla, SpiderMonkey. For Safari browser, WebKit. For Opera, Blink. For Edge, we have here Chakra. So this is only for your understanding purpose only. We have to know the browser engine names. In interview time, they are not going to ask anything. Okay. So now I'm going to run that HTML files. It will directly execute in the browser. But if you are observing, so which file we are running? So JS file only. If you are running the JS file, so you are getting in the browser screen. Actually, .js files won't execute in the browser now. So how it is executed, the .js file we'll discuss here. So if you are running any file also, directly you are getting here localhost 3000 now. So if you are entering manually localhost 3000, what happened in the sense, directly it will move to the index.js. In index.js, we have the connection to the app.js. Whatever the app.js contains, so it will execute through the index.html only. So finally, which file it is executed? .html file only it will execute. So if you are observing, so if I'm entering localhost 3000, what happened? It will move to the index.js now. So I will show you, just you can observe here. So if I'm entering like localhost 3000, it will move to the index.js. You can just open the index.js. In index.js, so we have the connection to the app.js. It will move to the app.js. In app.js, whatever you are writing, it will take this one and it will display through this ID called root. Where we have this ID root, if you are observing in the index.html, see here. That is the connection, internal connection. So whenever we are entering localhost 3000, directly what happened in the sense, it will move to the index.js. In index.js, we have the connection to the app.js. Whatever app.js is there, it will render, nothing but it will return. So to this ID called root, where we have that ID root in the index.html only. So always the HTML file only, it will execute. If you want to check, so go to the inspect elements and you can observe here whether index file or not, we'll check here. So here we are getting some HTML code now. You can expand the body. So what we have? Div ID root. From where we are getting div ID root? Index.html only. If you want to check here, see here. Div ID root. From where we are getting? Index.html only. If you want to check also, you can just see here. No script. No script. Body no script div id root. So that div id root contains so app.js now. So you can observe here. So if I'm expanding app.js, so in the app.js we have h1 as well as button. So like this, the reverse order. So like this we are going to implement. So that means whenever if you are entering localhost 3000 manually, or if you are running your project, so initially it will move to the index.js. In index.js, we have the connection to the app.js. So from this app.js to index.html, we have. That means whatever you are writing in app.js, it will execute through the index.html. This is the execution flow and this is the folder structure. Clear now? If you are taking any React project also, this is the process we have to. So first what we have to do, npx install, sorry, npx. So create hyphen react hyphen app and your application name sample app. After that, you will get the complete folders, node underscore modules, public, src, package.json, like that you will get. So after getting that entire thing, we are going to execute. What we have to do, cd space my app or sample app. After that, you have to start your server, npm start. If I am entering npm start, automatically the internal process is, it will directly move to the index.js. In index.js too, we have the connectivity to the app.js. In app.js, whatever you are writing, it will execute through the .html only. Why? Because always a browser will run .html files only. It won't execute any JS file. So this is the execution flow we are going to maintain in our React application. Understood now? So present, no need to delete anything here. Just leave it as it is. No need to change this root ID also. So only we are going to do the changes in app.js. Whatever you are writing in the app.js, directly you will get the output here. So now I'm going to take here one paragraph sample. Save this one. So it is compiled here. Once the compilation is done, you can observe here we are getting output. So that means through the app.js only you are going to execute all your files. That's why we can call it as it is a single page application. So now you can observe here. So if you are observing here, we have some logo now. So we are not using this logo here. It is showing some warning. Logo is defined but never used. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to remove that one, save this one. Now you are getting here compiled successfully. Previously we are getting some warning. Now we are not using that logo. Just go to the browser. So there is no change in the output, but in the console we are not getting any error. So this is the way you have to install the application. You have to know the folder structure, how the application internally is running. If I'm entering localhost 3000, directly it will move to the index.js. In index.js we have the connectivity to the app.js. So whatever the app.js, it will execute through this id called root. Here what we have, DOM we have. So document.get element by id. In the JavaScript we implemented the DOM. No? So same, whatever app.js contains, that app.js we are going to return through this div id called root. Clear now how we are executing? So if you are observing, it is similar to JavaScript only. Now I want to declare some variables. If I want to declare any variable, just I'm going to declare here the variable where, so a equal to 10. That is my variable. So and I'm going to take here where b equal to, I'm going to take some string. So this is my string. Like that I'm going to declare here. But as per ECMAScript standards, we are not going to use the var keyword. Now we have to work with the let or const only. So if you are taking here, there is no issue. But we are following standards for the real-time projects. So that is the reason I'm going to take here let or const. You can take anything also. Let name equal to, I'm going to take here ELearn. I want to print this name. How we are going to take that one? So if you are observing, this is regular JavaScript only, and we are taking here the variable declaration also. It is like a JavaScript only. But if you are observing, this is JSX. Why we are calling as a JSX? So within the JS, if you are writing any HTML code, we can call it as a JSX. So now I want to print inside this JSX. What we have to do? Just you can use the expressions, curly brackets. We can call it as a expressions. So inside the expression, you can just take your variable name, save this one, and go to the browser screen. You can observe here. Understood now? So variable declaration similar to JavaScript only. You can declare n number of variables also, no problem. But don't use var keyword. You can work with a let or const only. Already I explained about what is the use of let and what is the use of const in the ECMAScript starting class only. We discussed now. So if you want to print this one, for example, I'm going to write here console.log name. Save this one and go to the browser screen. In the console, whether we are getting or not, you can observe. We are getting in the console, but I don't want to print in the console. I want to print in the browser screen. If you are observing, this is regular JavaScript and this is JSX. So why we are calling as a JSX here? Why? Because within the JS file, if you are writing any HTML code, we can call it as a JSX. If I want to access that one, you can use here expressions. expressions is indication of the curly bracket we can take. If you have any variable, you can just access through the expressions only. So for example, I want to perform here some calculation. If I'm writing here 10 into 30, so I'm expecting 300. Okay. So what happened, you can observe. We are getting as it is. Why? Because it is almost similar to HTML. Na? In HTML, whatever you are writing, you will get output as it is. But I want to work with here calculation. What we have to do? Just to take here again expression. So inside the expression, you can write here. So 10 into 30. Now we can observe here. We are getting here the output here. That means if you want to work with any calculations or if you want to access any variable also, you can just take here expressions. Understood now? So what is meant by expression? So if you want to perform here any calculations or if you want to access any variable data also, you can just to take here expressions. The expression syntax is curly brackets. You can just to take here any calculation also. 10 plus 20, the calculation you will get. If you have any variable also, for example, let a name. So I'm going to take here, let name equal to ABCD. This name, if you want to access, so simply you can take here H1. Inside the H1, I want to print here welcome to. So I want to get that name. So if I'm using directly name here, what happened in a sense, you will get output also welcome to name only you will get. But I don't want to print the name. I want to print name value now. So you can just take here expression automatically you will get. So just you can observe here, if I'm not using this curly bracket, if I'm not using the expression, what happened you can observe. Name as it is we are getting. But I want that value now. So you can just simply use the expression. Now we can observe here, we are getting that value. That is called expression. If you want to access any variable or if you want to perform any calculation, you can just use the expression. So expression always we can indicate with the help of so curly bracket. Understood now? Clear. Now, I don't want to display this one. I want to comment this one. If you want to work with here comment, you can use here two scenarios. One is JS comments and second one is JSX comments. So here you can work with two ways comments in two scenarios actually you can apply. If you want to apply any JS comment, you can use regular JavaScript comments, single line comment. What is a single line comment? Double slash now. So that is single line comment. If you want to work with the multiple lines, you can work with a multi-line comment. This is regular JS comments. For example, see here. So here I don't want this one. What we did here. So just I mentioned here. So regular JavaScript comments only I mentioned here. If I have multiple lines also, I'm going to take here. So multi-line comment. This is regular JavaScript comments I'm going to use. For example, I don't want to print this one. This is not JavaScript. This is a JSX. If I want to work with a JSX, in the JSX also we have two types of comments. One is single line and second one is multi-line. So the syntax is you can take curly bracket, slash star and end with star slash curly bracket. This is for single line as well as multi-line also. So you can just take here multiple lines we can call it as a multi-line comment. So present I don't want to display this one. So what we have to do, curly bracket slash star and you can do end with so just to slash star curly bracket. Save this one. We don't have 300. I don't want this sample also. I'm going to comment here multi-line. Save this one and you can observe we don't have sample also. If I don't want button also, just to make it as here button also. Save this one and you can observe here. So that means, so outside of the JSX, you can use the regular JavaScript comments only. So if you are work with anywhere JSX, so the comment syntax is different. So in the same programming only, we are applying here two comments. One is JavaScript comments and JSX comments. So JSX is nothing but inside the JavaScript, if you are writing anywhere HTML tags, that is called JSX now. So if you want to hide this H1 or button or paragraph or any expression, you can work with the so JSX comments only. If you want outside of the JSX, nothing but JavaScript only now. If you don't want this variable, you can just comment. That is a JavaScript only now. You can just implement. This is the way we have to work in the So React.js. Understood now? How to declare the variables and how to access the variables and how to perform the calculations. So and how to access the variables also clear. Understood now? Then now I want to apply here styles. You can apply styles in the different ways here. So present I'm going to take only the inline CSS. So later I'm going to apply remaining ways also. Now here if you are observing, welcome to ELearn we have. I want to apply color for this one. I'm going to take here inline CSS. Style equal to style equal to color colon red. I'm applying here color colon red. So go to the browser screen. If you are observing, it is not showing anything here. And we are getting some error also. So whenever if you are apply the inline CSS, you can use here S is a capital. If I'm using S is a capital, now we can observe here, we are getting output. So in the HTML level, so whenever if you are work with the CSS, inline CSS, we are using S is always lowercase only. But in the JSX, so only few of the attributes are differentiate now. So that is style. If you want to work with style, anything, you can use here S is a capital only. In case if you are using S is a lowercase, you are not going to follow this syntax. We have to follow another syntax. That another syntax we are going to discuss in the future classes. Present I'm going to take the inline CSS. So S is a capital letter. If you are using S is a capital letter, automatically you will get the output. And in the terminal, you can observe here, there is no error also. We are getting each and everything successfully. Understood now? How to work with the styling part also applied. So present I am taking only the inline CSS only. In future we are going to work with the internal CSS, external CSS also later. Understood now? How to work with the styling part also clear. So up to now, if you are observing, every time we are going to do the changes in our app.js only now. So but in the real-time scenario, we are not going to write all the code here. We have to create different pages now. In HTML, we can call it as a pages, but here we can call it as a components. Next concept is components. What is mean by component? So component is so complete one web page. Component is nothing but it is a one web page or combination of 2-3 sections, or it is one section. So if you are observing regular web page, so for example, this is my web page. If you are observing, so here we have the component. Component is nothing but entire web page we can call it as one component. Otherwise, we can call it as only this one is one component. Only this one is another component. Otherwise, these two things are one component. So component is nothing but one web page or one section or combination of sections. Nothing but just one part. Component is nothing but one part. So internally, React applications contains n number of components. Regularly, we are calling as a web pages now. So instead of that web pages, we can call it as here components. So entire your application is completely component based only. So React supports two types of components. One is functional components and second one is class components. Functional components as well as class components. First we have to focus on here functional component, then we'll move to the class component. So if you are taking any functional component, so we have to declare with the help of function keyword. Regular JavaScript function kind only, function and your component name. So whenever if you are taking any component name, must and should starts with the uppercase. So I'm going to take here one example. This is my component name. You can just take here a component. This is the component declaration. So function, your component name. You can take any name also, but always component name must and should start with the uppercase. And each and every component return some value that is mandatory. You can return some value that is mandatory. Return what you want to return. I want to return here one div, or I want to return some h1. That h1 contains here some text welcome. That is fine. This is the way you can declare the component. Understood now? So now I will show you with the programmatically, you can observe. So up to now, we are doing only the changes in the app.js, but in the real time, we are not going to implement each and everything in app.js. We have to create new files. So where we are going to create in the SRC only now. So already SRC contains some files here. So for easy purpose, I'm going to create one folder under SRC. You can just make it as components. You can write any name also, no problem. For our understanding purpose, I'm writing here components. Under components, I'm going to create one new file. So that is, for example, basic function.js. You can create the file name. So you can work with the camel case structure. So you can work with the capital letters also, no problem. So inside this one, you can just create here basic function.js. I'm creating one new file. What is our component file? Component name is basic function. Na? The file is created. I have to create my own component. If you want to create any component, either you are going to create functional component or class component, first you have to import your React. Import what you are going to import. React, I'm going to import from React package. See here, import React from small React. So here small React is a package. You can just go to the package.json and you can observe here. So here we have the package. What is the package? React. So that React I'm going to import to my application. Import, this is my reference. You can take here ABCD also, no issues. Okay. So this ABCD we are taking from the React. So just for meaningful purpose, I'm going to take here import React from small React. Here small React is a package we have to import first. After importing this one, we can create here function component. Function and component name. So what is your component name? You can write any name also. So but always for easily debugging purpose, we can take as a file name as your component name. What is our file name? Basic function name. So we are taking like this. But if you are taking any component also, must and should start with the uppercase, capital letter. You can just take here the capital letter. And each and every component return some value. You can just take return what you are going to return. I want to return some h1. So h1, welcome to function component. Save this one. The component is created successfully. So what we did here, under SRC, we created some folder called components. Under that one, we are creating some file called basic function. So here we are creating some component. If you are creating functional or class component, first we have to import the React. Import React from small React. Here capital React is a reference. You can take any reference also, but this is small React is a package. So we are getting from the package.json. We are taking this one. And if you are creating any component like a class or function, you can follow the syntax. If you are taking the function component, you can use function and your component name. So component name, you can take anything also, but for debugging purpose, in future we are creating 100 components. So for easy identification purpose, you can make it as same as a file name. And so always the component must and should start with uppercase. We can use here uppercase, and each and every component returns some value. We can use here return. So now I want to execute this one. If I want to execute this component, each and everything it is executed through the hub.js only. Na? Why? Because if you are entering here localhost 3000, what happened? Index.js. In index.js, we have connection to the app.js. Whatever app.js we have, it will display through the index.html. That means if I want to execute my component, so I want to execute through the app.js only. So what we have to do in the sense, so this file I have to import here. After importing that one, I have to call. If I want to import here, we have to export here. Export default. What we have to export? Basic function I have to export. So whatever you created the component, we have to export here. If you are using export here, you are able to import. Import what you are going to import, the component name, whatever you are exporting, you can import basic function. So you can observe basic function, it is showing the path also. Basic function from, so it is showing dot slash. What is the meaning of dot slash? So it is in the same folder. Dot slash is indication of the same folder. Dot dot slash one folder outside. So if you are observing, app.js contains component folder. See here, in the same folder only, we have components. Inside the components, basic function we are getting. So after importing this one, I have to call. How we are going to call? If you have any component also, you can call like a HTML tag format. Either you can call like a paired tag or unpaired tag format. So what is the component? Basic function. You can use like a unpaired tag format or paired tag format. Save this one and you can go to the browser screen and you can observe. We are getting a lot. So welcome to function component we are getting. From where we are getting? From the basic function only we are getting. If you are observing, if I'm entering localhost 3000, it will move to the index.js. From index.js to we have the connection to the app.js. So if you are observing, so it is moved to the app.js. In app.js, we have the basic function. This basic function from where we have here the path. It will move to that particular path. So whatever you are returning, it will displace. If you are observing, so app.js also function component only. You can observe here, function component name. We are returning something. So we are going to export. If you are exporting here, so in index.js, you can observe, we are importing and we are calling. They should know. So app.js also function component only, but we are not creating manual. It is auto-generated one. So you have to observe the syntax so that you will get the clarity. It is also function component only. Understood now? How we are going to create the component? You can just to create one component along with the .js extension. What we have to do? First, we have to work with import. We have to import that React. From where we are going to import? From the package. We have to take here the package. After that, we have to take here function component name. Always the component name is starts with uppercase. You can just to take the regular JavaScript function. If you are taking any component also, it will return some value mandatory. Return what you want to return. H1 I want to return. Welcome, done. The component is created successfully. But if you are creating any component also, we have to export. Export default. What is your component name is? Basic function, you can write. So after creation of this one, we have to import. After importing this one, you can use like unpaired tag or paired tag also. Okay, so this is the way you are going to implement. So we can optimize this one instead of doing separately export default. While declaration only, you can write here export default. No need to write again separate line. Okay, so you will get the same output on. This is the recommended method you can follow. Don't write a separate line. If you are writing separately also, no issues. Clear now? So I want to create here one paragraph. Paragraph sample page. Save this one. Here only we are getting error. So, and you can observe here also we are getting error. Why it is showing error? If you know the JavaScript, you will get the solution. In JavaScript, we discuss the functions concept now. So if you are taking any function also, the function it will return only single element only, single value only. But here, how many elements you are returning? Two elements. So that is the reason we are getting error. But my client intention is they want some H1 as well as paragraph. At the time, what we have to do? Just you can take one parent. We are returning that div. So that div contains any element also, no problem. We are returning only one element, that is div. So now you can observe we are getting here output. That means in the return you can just take here always one parent. So in the parent whatever you require you can just write it. So this is the way you can just declare the function component. Understood now? So the component can be reused. Reuse in the sense you can call n number of times also. So now I'm going to call here. So just you can observe here. This is the way you can just take here the components. Understood now? So component is nothing but it is one web page or combination of sections or only one section we can call it as a component. So how we are going to declare the component? So if you are follow like a function component, you can follow this is a structure. If you are work with a class component, you have to work with a different syntax. Understood? No? Here we are writing each and everything manually. No? So instead of doing this manually, so I'm going to take here RFC, React Functional Component. We are getting here syntax, everything. So just I'm going to take here H1 welcome. That means only inside the div I'm doing the changes. If you are observing, always component name is capital. Na? We can apply capital. So instead of writing manually, you can work with here snippet. That RFC we can call it as a snippet. So if you want to get that snippet, first you have to install that snippet here. I will show you how to install. See here. So here we have the explore now. In the bottom we have here extensions. You can go to the extensions here and you can search here React. If you are search here React, we are getting here ES7 plus React, like that we are getting now. So just click on that one. It is showing here uninstall. Why? Because in my system already it is in the installation mode only. So in your case, you will get here install. You can just click on that install. Automatically it will be installed. Once the installation is done, you can close here and you can directly enter here RFC. We will get that snippet here. So this is the way you have to install that snippet and you have to create the components. Understood now? How to work with the creation of the components. Folder structure is clear, execution flow is clear, and the component, how to create the component also. Only functional component is clear. So tomorrow we will work with another one, that is functional component, and in the that is the class component. In the functional component we are going to use the concept called props. That props also will explain in the tomorrow class. So today just you can install the React application. After installation of the React application, you can create different components like this, and you can call into the app.js and you can execute your programming. That is your assignment. Okay.